Hey everyone, this is my review for Superman and Lois Season 3 Episode 2 titled Uncontrollable Forces. The description for the episode says Clark and Chrissy notice a small crack in Lois's game face, Sarah and Jordan have an awkward encounter, Lana receives a panic phone call. So this was another strong episode, and such an emotional one too. It was way more depressing than last week's. Even the color palette was much cooler, setting that vibe. Other than that cold open, it wasn't as visually beautiful as last week's, and the effects weren't the best at some points, although every time Onomatopoeia uses their powers it looks amazing, but the main plot's writing made up for it. That cold open was amazing, so chilling and heart-wrenching, watching Lois go through all those tasks, keep going through her day while knowing what's likely coming, and then getting it confirmed. The way it's done with no dialogue was perfect, ending with that slow take on the intro, relying solely on Bitsy's expressions to feel her pain. They do it again for the ending reveal and it works just as well. Zooming in on Jordan's face, I thought he was gonna have a panic attack, then it all goes quiet after Lois's cancer, like he's zoning out and all we hear is his heartbeat. It's so good, it's like Bitsy's going for that Emmy this season. That moment she said, "I didn't want you to look at me like I was sick," was so heartbreaking. So pretty much everyone ended up going to Metropolis this week, while Onomatopoeia paid Lana a visit over in Smallville. It was fun seeing the kids in a different environment, but I really missed all the great scenery in Smallville. I did like that they got out of school because of the mold, because it set up this carefree vibe, contrasting with Lois and the judge facing uncontrollable forces. Then it all falls apart once Sarah gets that call and Lois sits down with the twins at the end. The party itself was definitely the weakest storyline, but I did like all the individual couple moments like Sarah and Jordan, Nat and Mateo, even John and Eliza, though mostly just because it convinced me Michael's the perfect John now. But Eliza's such a boring character, and so is Candace, so maybe they just struggled writing John a good love interest. I was a bit surprised Sarah and Natalie ended up at the party over a boy. That's clearly based on Natasha Irons, who's gay in the comics. She had good chemistry with Mateo, but I was thinking they were setting her up with Sarah now that there's nothing between her and Jordan. I mean, it could still happen. The wing woman realizes she was the perfect pairing all along. It did seem like Nat just named the first random guy she could think of, and then she was so shocked Sarah actually found him. It sure seems love is in the air this year, because there's also something still going on between Kyle and Chrissy. And then there's John, Henry, and Lana. They've sort of been teasing it, but now it seems like it's finally gonna happen. Season 3 is the year CW couples get together, like Olicity, West Allen, Camney, Wildmore, for example. So Onomatopoeia killed the old mayor, and trying to investigate his murder led John and Lana back to the office, where Onomatopoeia came after them, and probably would have killed him if he hadn't noticed John Henry was there, because turns out Onomatopoeia killed John Henry on this earth. So I was right about the old mayor being involved with Mannheim, but he's already dead, so I guess Onomatopoeia is what's gonna bring those two into the main plot instead. I love what they're doing with their powers. The effects look great. There's such a cool silent serial killer, and that strange face could make them a horror villain. So I was right about Lois throwing herself into her work right after learning she's got cancer. I feel like it's both a distraction and acknowledgement that she's got no time to waste. Like Chrissy and Clark were all shocked she immediately wanted to go interview the judge. Lois and Clark went back to Metropolis and tried ambushing the judge, but Lois just got straight to the point and got them kicked out for asking too much about Henry's powers. I love how Lois was working so hard to keep a straight face. Clark was the most classic bumbling Clark he's been in a while. Clark went after the guys that kicked him out, which led him to Mannheim. I love how Bruno just yelled out for Clark and he came down to his balcony. They've set up a great dynamic so far, but I wish we got more time between them, maybe cut some of the party scenes for this. We find out Bruno grew up in suicide slums, constantly watching people lose hope and take their own lives, while people like Lex and Tal Rowe become millionaires who further push down his community. So Bruno built himself up to be the hero his people never had. So my theory about him doing all this for Lex is definitely wrong, but considering this backstory, it wouldn't surprise me if he specifically chose to experiment on Henry, because that man is a Nazi. It's also a good parallel to that judge who also wanted to bring change, but thought she was doing it the right way. It's a really interesting take on Bruno Mannheim, because now he's one of those villains who see themselves as the hero, and the thing is, for a while he might have been right. Sure, he's got questionable methods, but that might have been exactly what his people needed at the time. The thing is, now he's become part of the system that he meant to destroy, and the judge is proof of it. He's become Lex Luthor. Bruno calling out Clark for always putting out fires, he's this big international hero, yet never saving his community, and all that collateral damage he caused last week. It sort of reminded me of that quote from the Green Lantern Green Arrow comic: "You work for the blue skins, you help out the orange skins, but what about the black skins, Mr. Lantern?" The one time Superman goes to his neighborhood, he's there to destroy it. But it's all Bruno's fault, which further proves that his methods are only damaging his community. Then he assumes Clark's leaving to put out another fire, when he's actually saving someone who Bruno had caused to lose hope. The whole episode was sort of a take on All-Star Superman, but with Lois, as she's the one who finds out she's dying, hides it from everyone, and it all leads to that famous panel where now it's Lois who talks down the judge from taking her own life instead. She gives her hope even while Lois is struggling to hold on to it herself. I didn't want to see see a breast cancer storyline for Lois. I didn't like it when Jane the Virgin did it for Xiomara, but I see how they think it might hit harder, seeing such a strong, iconic figure in comics going through such a common real-life thing, and it's something Superman can't fix, just like his father's death. Like Bruno was saying, Clark can put out as many fires as he'd like, but he can't do anything to save Lois Lane's life. Well, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for similar content. Leave your thoughts on the video or episode in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Goodbye.